Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise today to call your attention to what could be our biggest oversight of this session: our lack of action to grow Oregon's economy through meaningful economic development. Main Street depends on a thriving economy, and we play a role. I love this state, and I know that you all do too. Our beautiful mountains, our 362 miles of public beach, and wonderful world-class restaurants, wines, microbrews, our natural beauty and our lifestyle opportunities are a draw, but only if Oregon has a thriving economy and a thriving high-tech economy. Amazingly, on our side of the building, we haven't passed a single economic development bill this session. Zero. The House has a committee that is focused on economic development. They passed 2 bills, both now in Ways and Means. They're good bills, but they're more about rearranging the room instead of making home improvements. The House Economic Development Committee had only a handful of Senate bills. Every one of them dealt with OLCC and cannabis issues and didn't have a reason to meet much more in advance of the second chamber deadline. But I want to start by talking about the last time we tried to do something meaningful on economic development. In 2023, we had a strong bipartisan agreement to position Oregon for success, as Senator Wyden helped lead the creation of the Federal CHIPS Act and convened a task force a year in advance of the 23 session and included every stakeholder that you can imagine. The task force was charged with recommending a set of policy and finding objectives that constituted a comprehensive plan to ensure Oregon's national leadership in the semiconductor industry, and that would secure us for future generations. We did some good things in 2023, but it was obvious that we acted because we were backed into a corner, not because we're passionate about policies and investments. This will be a rolling remonstrance with a theme. Colleagues, we can do this. Oregon is a wonderful state and a great place to live. Thank you.
Continuing under remonstrances, recognize Senator Sollman.
Mr. President, colleagues, I represent the heart of Silicon Forest. Economic development is critical to SD 15 and to the state's economy. The Oregon CHIPS Act was a careful and cautious delivery of policy, and the investments we made, we needed to be bolder. We passed a research and development tax credit that Intel does not qualify for. We softened our local business tax incentive programs when what we needed to do was to make them stronger. We needed to bring land into the urban growth boundary to make land available for semiconductor manufacturers immediately, as other states were doing right in front of our eyes. Colleagues, we still don't have the adequate land in sites. We are falling behind Texas and New Mexico. California is moving ahead of us with investments in their future. They secured a National Semiconductor Technology Center, NSTC, designation. Arizona secured an NSTC designation and have major commitments from Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company and numerous suppliers for long-term multi-billion-dollar investments. New York secured the NSTC designation for the Advanced Lithography Center. We lost all 3 NSTC designations despite having the most mature, complete, and sophisticated semiconductor ecosystem and workforce in the nation. They all did direct advertising in Oregon for workforce designed to lure away our talent and expertise. Oregon's existing semiconductor ecosystem and its workforce are the 2 clear advantages we have compared to every other state in America. If something doesn't change, we will lose both of those advantages over time. Development is about public-private partnerships and colleagues, and it's not too late. We need coherent strategies and alignment at all levels of government to compete for investment and jobs. Thank you. Colleagues, other states have streamlined the development process, came forward with effective incentives, aligned their tax policies to encourage private investment and attraction and retention of a skilled workforce, and land ready and available to build on, and programs in place to build a strong workforce pipeline for our semiconductor and advanced manufacturing industry. But let's be clear. Oregon cannot afford to let our high-tech industry bleed out. Just like with the Semiconductor Competitive Task Force, a green technology task force was created to identify steps Oregon needs to take to be competitive in that area. Most of the issues identified by the task force were the same as the one for semiconductors. Many of you have seen the recent Politico article about the development of renewable energy products. Oregon is behind most every other state in renewable energy production. As a result, we will not meet our goals, and we will not capture a segment of the green technology economy for the same reasons. Texas, Ohio, Mississippi, Arkansas, states that are building renewable energy products way ahead of us. And let's not forget, this is not just about big industry and multinational companies. These jobs and investments ripple through our entire economy. When a semiconductor facility expands or a green tech company sets up shop, it's not just engineers and technicians who benefit. It's the local coffee shop serving their morning rush. It's the restaurant down the street catering their lunch meetings. It's the small business contractors, dry cleaners, daycare providers, and print shops to see more business because high-wage jobs fuel local economy. Main Street depends on a thriving economy, colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Additional remonstrances, recognize Senator Sollman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, economic development is about good public-private partnerships. We, as the people's representatives, create policy and make investments to incentivize the type of economic growth that we want to see happen. Economic development is the driving force behind creating a future where shared objectives are realized. Objectives such as adequate and sustainable funding for core services like public education, healthcare, and public safety, and improving outcomes that position our state and its people to prosper. High-quality infrastructure to support the movement of goods, services, and people, and the generation of transmission of renewable energy. Addressing affordability issues that contribute to homelessness, stretch family budgets to the breaking point, and prevent public servants from living in the communities they serve. Colleagues, if we want to address the structural changes facing our state and make the kind of investment our people need and deserve, to be the center of innovation, a magnet for intellectual capacity, and a state that supports families by creating high-paying jobs and opportunities, then we must start taking economic development seriously. The solutions are strikingly similar. We need immediate land capacity and need to plan to invest in the infrastructure to support development. We need to strengthen our local business incentive programs. The research and development tax credit should be broadened and expanded to more industries while making our largest private employer eligible. We must take a hard look at our tax and regulatory structure and update both so businesses are encouraged to locate and invest in Oregon. Instead of only asking about taxing asking more from taxpayers and businesses, we need to demand that government deliver on those promises as well. And we must leave behind the tired adversarial rhetoric that undermines the partnerships necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.